I'm sorry I seem like a shady dude. When times are hard for your family, paying your lady dues. You come so far, having a happy family is daily news. Man, I miss you playing with me, chasing me around in your baby shoes.
Hey y'all, it's me, Bossy. Long time no see. The last time I think y'all saw me, I might have been like 6 months pregnant, maybe 7 months pregnant. I'm not really sure. But some of y'all might not even have seen me before I announced my pregnancy. Some of y'all might not even know I was pregnant. So yes, but I'm here today to do my birth story. A lot of these type of videos I normally would probably put on my vlog channel, which is Bossy's Life, where you'll see baby and all my other children and my husband and what we do. But I decided to share my birth story with you guys, since you know my labor and delivery stories on that channel. So I'm just gonna try not to talk as much, because y'all know the girl can talk, and we just gonna go ahead and get right into it. So as you all know, I was pregnant with baby number 6, and I recently, a month ago, gave birth. He's now a month and 5 days old. So let's see here. I want to start the day I was going to have him. So if you don't know, I had to have a scheduled C-section due to my previous 2 last pregnancies of my 2 oldest sons. Because of their size, they were 10 pounds and 9-pound babies. So we were trying to push for a VBAC, which is a vaginal birth after cesarean, for this baby number 3 that I had, or baby boy number 3 that I had, I should say. But it didn't go as planned. They thought he was going to be just as big, and they think that my pelvis was not large enough to be able to push out a baby that big, since I had the first attempt with my oldest son didn't go well. So anyway, it was scheduled for July 24th at 11 a.m. but they wanted us to be there by 9:30 at the latest, because you know I had to take the COVID test to make sure that I didn't have that virus or anything like that. So me and my husband, you know, we dropped the kids off. We dropped the kids off the night before to my dad's, and then that next morning we get up and we head to the appointment, or my appointment for my C-section. So we get there, and I'm a little nervous, and yet at the same time I'm still hoping that maybe my water will just break on its own and I'll start going into labor and contract really fast and be able to push him out. They're saying I can't push him out, but maybe this will happen. Maybe I'll be able to push him out. So that was my thoughts. But oh yeah, I'm shiny. That's my face oil. But anyway, we get there, and I have a lot of pressure, but that's pretty much it, just a bunch of pressure. We go in, and everything is like in the hospital where I had him. You know those movies where you see stuff like quarantined off? It just looked like the labor and delivery ward looked kind of like that. You had to walk through. Everybody had on face masks. Some people had on more than that. And so we get there, we had to do, you know, all our paperwork and everything. And then they take me to triage. Now, they warned my husband that if there were any other patients that were going to be in triage, or anybody comes in that's about to have a baby that is going to triage, he would have to wait in the waiting room because of the quarantine situation and, you know, social distancing. He could not be in triage with more people besides me. Just for safety precautions. So they took me to triage, and he was able to come in at that point. And they were about to give me my swab test to make sure I didn't have the virus. And of course, right before they gave it to me, he had to be escorted out because another lady that was in labor had to be sent to triage. So he had to leave out, which was bummed, but I knew he was going to be able to see the birth of our son. So a guy comes in, he's about to give me my test, and I'm panicking, I'm freaking out. He's just like, relax, take a deep breath, it's not as bad as you think. Now I'm having horror stories given to me, watching people's YouTube videos, listening to people on social media, or seeing videos on social media saying that it's touching your brain, it's this, it's that. People are coughing and eyes are watering and all this other stuff. So me, I'm just terrified. So he proceeds to do the test, and it was not that bad at all. He did like up each nostril, and I mean, my eyes watered a little and I felt like I had to sneeze, but other than that, it wasn't too bad. So we do the test, and I'm thinking, now that I do the test, you know, it's almost 11 o'clock. We're about to have my C-section. Well, no. We had to wait for my test to come back negative or positive before we could proceed with the C-section. And I guess a lot of people were testing that day. So even though they did the rapid test for me, I could not get my results right away like I wanted. But I mean, we had to be patient. And my doctor that was actually performing the C-section, she was kind of annoyed because she had other C-sections to do after mine. So everything was kind of just like, she kept coming in like, did you get your test results back? She's asking the nurses and stuff, did the results come back? They're like, no, we're calling to see, but they haven't came back yet. And they were like, normally you get them back by then. And so me, I'm thinking, oh shoot, I must got it, I must have it. So sorry y'all if that glare is bothering y'all. I don't have any more contacts, I'm out. Just want to say that because I can see the glare. So anyway, they were like, you know what, we're just going to push her down to the operating room and hope that by the time, you know, we get down there, they'll call us telling us the test results. So they take their time pushing me down there, just waiting and waiting to see if I'll get my results back. So they get me down there, and I haven't gotten the results back yet. We're talking, chatting it up, and then finally they call and say she's negative. So they proceed to push me in the operating room. When I say, when I go in there, the lights are super bright. It's so many people in there, so many doctors, nurses, some other people I had never seen before in my life. They were covered from head to toe in just like protective gear. Some people were for the baby for when he's born, and then it was just like so many other people and doctors and nurses in there. So I'm just thinking, like, it's a lot of people in here. I don't remember this happening with my previous you know, C-section. So it just kind of shocked me. So anyway, we get in there, they put me on the table and proceed to do my spinal, you know, epidural, so that I couldn't feel anything. I get it done and I can't feel a thing all the way up up to my boobs almost. I couldn't feel anything, and then I kind of got hot and then cold. The only thing I did not want to experience, which I normally experience with my last C-sections, was the nausea. So far I was doing good. So they lay me on the table and I'm just praying, and they finally bring my husband in because I was scared he was going to miss it because he missed my oldest son's birth. He didn't come in until after he was born because they forgot about him. Not this hospital, but another hospital. They forgot about him, so he wasn't able to see my son come out, which he really still couldn't because it was a curtain up, but you know what I mean. So they went and got him, and he comes in. I'm nervous as crap. He's nervous. I'm really scared because this whole time of me being pregnant, I had this fear of I'm not gonna come out of this. I've gotten older. The last time I had an actual baby, I was in my late 20s. Now I'm in my mid 30s. And I've been looking at a bunch of stuff about, you know, black women and, you know, delivery, and how they have the more likely to die from childbirth and everything. So I don't know why that hadn't bothered me before, but this time it was bothering me so much. But, you know, my husband reassured me that if they don't listen to me, he's gonna make them listen to me if I feel like something's wrong or something's not right. He was just like, he got me. So you know, that made me feel better. So they proceed to get me cut open, and the first thing I hear, she's like, he's stubborn. And I'm thinking, oh, what now? So she's like, well, I said, he's over to the right side of your stomach and he doesn't want to come out. After they cut me open, I'm thinking to myself, you can't just pull him out, pull him over from off the side. But I guess you can't do all that. But she's like, he doesn't want to leave from your right side of your stomach. And it's funny because during my entire pregnancy, he was literally on my right side. My stomach was even kind of shifted over to the side where he was at. It was still all big around, but I knew he was on that side because how my stomach was shaped. But yeah, she was having a real hard time, and it was her and another assisting doctor, and y'all, they were really trying to get him, because one, they assumed he was going to be a huge baby. I mean, he still was pretty big, but they thought he was going to be 10 pounds or bigger. So she was kind of worried that she wouldn't be able to get him out as, you know, good as she thought she would be able to. In the process of them trying to get him out, because he's being so stubborn, the assistant doctor that's helping, I guess, passes out because it's hot. So many lights on. And she must have overheated, and she passed out during my C-section on the ground. So eventually, you know, they got her situated and made sure she was chill. So I don't think she came back to help assist until it was time for my next procedure. But finally they got baby out, and my doctor was like, Vasima, I just want to let you know he was a little, you know, shocked from trying to come out. And in the process, he swallowed some fluids from in my, you know, the procedure. And so with that, he had to be whisked away. I couldn't even see him or my husband over to the area where they had all those other people with masks and bodysuits on and everything to get him all cleared up and good to go, because he wasn't crying when he came out, and he was a little blue. So they needed to get that color right and get him good, and I heard them getting him cleaned up. So he was beginning to start to, you know, make some sounds and stuff. So he was good. He came out. He was good to go. But I was nervous, and I was like, if you go back and watch my labor video, I'm real quiet, and I look kind of like scared the whole time that the procedure's getting done. So after he's out, next step is I had to get my tubal ligation, which was to get my tubes finally removed. So she's proceeding to start that procedure, and the first thing she says is, well, I see why you got pregnant again. Scar tissue or some type of tissue, I guess she said, reconnected my tubes, because my tubes in fact were tied. I mean, no, not tied, clipped, I think, not tied. I had to ask my husband if she said tied, but no, they were just clipped. And of course they burn them once they clip them to, you know, secure the, I guess, ends. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but she said a piece of tissue connected them. So that is how I got pregnant again. Okay, I guess. So she said that she had to take my uterus out or whatever so she can get the, you know, remove my tubes. And, you know, she removed my tubes just fine. And while she's looking at my uterus, she's like, oh, it's the size of a basketball. I'm thinking, it ain't that big. So now it's time to put my uterus back in. She can't get it back in. She's having a hard time. I feel tugging. I feel pulling. I don't feel pain, but I just feel a lot of tugging and pulling, and she's breathing hard, and she's just like, ooh, you give me a run for my money. Like, I guess it was that hard to get my uterus back in. It just felt like a lot of pressure. It was just a lot, and I'm just like, what in the heck? I hope they don't mess nothing up down there on me, because this is too much. Like, she was really having a hard time getting it back in, but finally she got it back in. I got all cleaned up, stitched up, and sent on my way into the recovery room with my baby, and I was just glad it was over and I was still alive and he was okay. So, you know, I was in the hospital spending time with him and my husband for about 2 nights, 3 days we stayed in there. I wanted to leave the day before my daughter's 13th birthday because I think they wanted to try to keep me in there longer, but they figured, nah, we can let her go. Plus, I didn't want to be in there too long with this whole virus stuff going on. So, before, you know, I get discharged, you know, they have to check your blood pressures and everything like that. And they noticed that well, one nurse in particular, I think her name was Jessica. She was really nice. She was pregnant as well. She had been taking care of me, and she checked my blood pressure several times, and she noticed that it was a little higher than normal. And I'm going to tell y'all, my blood pressure during my whole pregnancy was perfect. It was in the teens and in maybe the 20s, 120s or so. But it was really, really good. I never had any worries about my blood pressure. Even before I got pregnant with my baby boy, I never had any problems or anything. And then after I had him, she noticed it was a little high. It was like 140. One time it was 147, 150. So it was kind of a little high. But they discharged me anyway, sent me home. I was glad to be home. I was ready to be out of that hospital. I didn't want to be in there anymore. Finally came home. My kids were able to come home, see their baby brother. So everything was good. I did have to get a wound vac put on my incision where my C-section took place, just to help my incision heal faster, because this was my third C-section, and so it was a lot of more scar tissue they had to go through to get him out. So they had to use that, which was the most annoying, irritating experience I've ever had in my life. I literally had that on for a full 7 days. And it started to smell. So it was, I already was starting to get a little postpartum, little semi-depression, which I normally get with all my children, but it only lasts for like maybe 3 to 4 days. And just the fact that I had that wound vac attached to me, like, it was super long. I had to wear the strap on my arm. It was just so annoying. And the smell of it was starting to get to me, because, you know, all the fluids and blood and everything it was trying to capture. And no, I was going through it. And they wouldn't let me wash it, you know, because they said it could get infected. So it was like really bad. And so that 7th day after being after having my son, I went to my OBGYN to get the wound vac removed, and I was so happy. But at the same time, I started feeling kind of weird, like my body just didn't feel right. So we get it removed. She tells me everything's looking good now, I can wash it and everything like that. And I felt a sigh of relief, because that was off of me and the smell wasn't as strong as it was, but I needed to start, you know, cleaning that area. So that day I came back from getting it removed, I got a headache. And normally if I get a headache, all I have to do is take a pain pill and it's gone. Well, I took an ibuprofen 800, one of the pills they gave me for, you know, my pain, for my incision and everything like that. And the headache didn't go away. So I'm like, that ain't right. That ain't normal. And then I just start feeling really weird, and my head just was feeling funny. So I kept remembering how she said, even at when I got my wound vac removed, they checked my blood pressure, and it was another nurse, and she had seen me at other prenatal appointments before, and she was like, your blood pressure is pretty high. That ain't like you. That's not normal. And I was like, maybe because I have a headache, because I had a headache before I went to the appointment as well. I should say, I thought, now that I think about it, I had the headache before I went to the appointment and just noticed it more when I got home. But she was like, that's not normal. I said, I think just because I have a headache. So I kind of brushed it off. So I think she did the same. So I get home, like I said, and I took the pain pill and it didn't leave. So I'm like, okay, but I brushed it off. And then I want to say 2 days later, I had been feeling that way still. But finally I said, you know what, I want to just check my blood pressure. So I don't have a blood pressure cuff. So I had been telling my husband how I felt. So I had him to go get one. And he brought it home, and when I took my blood pressure at home, it was 175, like over 110 or 109. So it was really high. So at that point, I knew something wasn't right, and I I had my daughter take me to the hospital. My husband had left because, you know, he went and got it for me, so he didn't think anything. He thought I was okay. So my daughter had taken me to the hospital because it was just like, no, I don't want to, you know, stroke out or anything, because I know with high blood pressure you can stroke out. That's all I knew at the time. So I get to the hospital, and, you know, they check me and they check my blood pressure, and at that point it's 195 over something, I can't remember, but once you get to 220, that's the highest it can be, and I was already at 195. I think it's 220, so it's the highest. So they hurried up and did MRIs on me. They did a heart, what is it, the EKG on my heart. They checked to see if I had blood clots. They checked a lot of stuff to see, because the first thing they think that I had was preeclampsia. But typically with preeclampsia, you're already still pregnant, and the only way to get rid of it is to have your baby. But I had already had my baby. So they were like, you know what, you don't have any blood clots. Your heart looks fine. You know, everything's okay with your MRI, but we think we need to send you back to labor and delivery because your pressures are just too high, and they can probably take care of you more than we can in the emergency room. So they wheel me up to labor and delivery, and as soon as I get up there, they're, you know, they check my blood pressure. It's still super duper deathly high. They're trying to find a vein to put my IV in, because my veins roll, and I didn't drink enough water, I guess. So they had a hard time finding a vein. They were kind of panicky, especially one nurse, because she's like, I need to hurry up and get this IV in you so we can give you this magnesium, because if not, you could have a seizure, a stroke, or you can die. So I'm like, oh nah. So then at that point, I'm even more nervous, and I'm sure my pressure's going up more and more and more. So they finally get me hooked up, find a vein, get me hooked up to the magnesium. They end up padding my bed just in case I did have a seizure, because the magnesium is supposed to prevent you from having a seizure when your blood pressure gets extremely high. And I stayed in the hospital for what, 3 days, 2 nights additionally again. You know, stayed on the magnesium for about 2 days. You know, that stuff made me pee a lot of fluid too. I mean, I lost a good 10-15 pounds with the amount of fluid that I peed out. I peed out like 5 liters of urine a day almost, they said. But so yeah, it was a lot. But finally, they were trying to see what medication they should give me to help regulate my blood pressure, because it was due to the pregnancy. And they did confirm that I did have postpartum eclampsia. So I got it after birth, which is not very common, but I guess it happens to a lot of people after having a baby. So they end up putting me on a blood pressure medicine to take for 30 days, which I'm almost done with it. On the 4th of July, they sent me home with the medicine, iron pills, and that was that. So I had my baby and turned around and had preeclampsia. Yeah, which was very scary, not fun. Also, while I was in the hospital for that, they did let my baby and my husband at least come up there and stay, because you know how the hospitals are now with everything going on. But if they didn't, I probably would have had a stroke or a seizure, because I wanted my baby near me. So yeah, y'all, that was my birth story. Not too exciting, but my baby boy is here. He's healthy. He's big and chunky now. He's a month old, like I said. He's currently asleep, but if y'all want to see him, you can go to Bossy's Life, my vlog channel. Yeah, go to that channel. You'll see baby. You can see the delivery story, everything like that. Because he's good in sleep, and I need him to stay asleep so I can finish taking care of business. So y'all, I hope you guys enjoy, and I'm gonna try to come back and film more as much as I can. I'm gonna start keto back up August 1st. So I hope y'all enjoy, And I will see y'all in the next one. And also, thank y'all to all my new subscribers. What's up? I'm Bossy. Sorry I ain't been posting, but you know, you girls been going through some things and having babies and living life. So I will see y'all in the next one. Bye, loves.